Commercial Construction Coffee Talk fans. Thanks for chiming in. My name's David Corson. I'm your host. I'm also the publisher and editor of Commercial Construction and Renovation Magazine. I've got a little halo there, but this is what it used to look like. We're digital now, but let's see. I'm pulling out the archives here. September 2020. We had Orson Farm and Home. They were bought out by Tractor Supply, but that's what they used to be called. And I'll look at this issue. This one was 160 pages, and see what I was doing. I was playing lacrosse. It's me in my got my equipment on, and was on the lax green. I'm As long as I can still run. I keep telling my wife I'm going to go up and down the field until I can't, and then put me in a wheelchair, and then I'll go back out there. But that's what I was doing back there in September of 2020. But it's always nice to hold the magazine and see what was going on. And actually, I had a little more hair there, but it goes as you get older. But in any event, hope everybody's having a great Thursday as we go into TGIF tomorrow. And it's been an amazing start of the new year. I'll tell you, it was just January 21st, and then it's now the end of the month. I don't even know where the last 3 weeks went. But better to be busy than not to start the new year off. And it's freezing here in Atlanta. It snowed the other day, and that melted. Then we just had another storm come through. It's going down to the teens tonight. Hopefully, it's warming up. I'm building a house up on the lake. I just got my major inspection done, and I'm just starting drywall. And I've got about 60 days out for our empty nester house. And it's back and forth from here with my construction hat on, coming back, and it's just been an unbelievable start of the year. But hopefully everybody's had a positive week. Listen, tomorrow's Friday, and then you got the weekend. Woohoo! And one more week, and the first month of Q1 is over, and you can get ready for the rest of the year. And what an exciting time to be alive. The election's over, the inauguration happened, the college championship game, you got the Super Bowl coming up, and February is going to be a great month. And don't forget about Valentine's Day, because that's a good holiday. You got to make sure that you don't forget that one for your partner, spouse, or whatever. But uh, in any event, I wanted to, before I start my thing, I want to talk about something that, New Year's resolutions. One of the things that I wanted to do this year was I wanted to get better sleep. You just need sleep. Your body needs sleep. So last year I ran about 5 to 7 miles each day, and I don't drink coffee. I don't like the jitteriness of it, and I don't like the vitamin buzz. And uh, each night I would only get so much hours of sleep. And there's a thing called Magic Mind, and they were one of my sponsors last year. And this is what the elixir looks like. And it's this is their Magic Mind shot. They call them shots. You drink a little shot in the morning. It's all natural, 12 compounds, and it basically keeps your mind clear. You don't get that jittery buzz. It's all organic, and it keeps you focused. You think you're starting, yeah, I'm 61. So you kind of maybe forget things here and there as you get older. It keeps your mind clear. And they've come out with something new that actually helps you sleep. It's called the sleep aid. And sharper mind, less stress, calm energy, and then you sleep. And if you get good sleep and you wake up, you're probably going to have a much better day than you would if you didn't sleep. And it's non-addicting, and it's a very cool combo package. So what I'll do is I will put the discount code in the description, but they have a bundle. You get 45% off where you get the Magic Mind elixir to keep clear, and then the Magic Mind to help you sleep. So hopefully, for those of you that want to get better sleep or so forth, check it out. It takes a couple days to let it build up in your system, but after you get used to it, it's so cool because you definitely, I'm busy all day, and it keeps you clear. And then you take it about a half hour before you want to go to sleep, and you can drift off. And you got to remember, you got to unplug, got to get rid of your phones and all that stuff. But sleep is so important. And when I was doing my runs last year, I was doing my positive thought. This year, I've added, hey, you take care of your body, and sleep is one of those things. So remember, Magic Mind in the morning, Magic Mind before you go to bed, and you'll see such a difference. So with that said, I've got two nice gentlemen out there in the great state of Arizona in Phoenix. Their company's called Indie Signage, and I don't know how it's showing up on the screens, but I've got Jose Villanueva, Villanueva. Did I pronounce it right, Jose?
Well, English version is Villanueva. The Spanish version is Villanueva. Depends
Okay, well, I'm
on
not going with
how
the
you want to
Spanish.
say it.
I'm not going that route. I'm going to stay with the English version. And I've got his son Benny, and they're in
Howdy.
signage, they're in branding, they're in to get people to attract people to come into your into your facilities. And I've known Jose a long time, and he brought Benny in after he got out of school and so forth, and we went back and forth. So finally, we got this episode on here, and Jose's been one of my advertisers over the years. He and I go, but I probably known you what, Jose, 15 years, 20?
At least 15.
Yeah,
Yeah,
somewhere in there. I don't know. The age is, I've been around for 25, so
right.
it's amazing. But uh in any event, they're in that sector, and signage is such a cool product. It's probably the most competitive sector that I can think of, because there's so many sign companies. They're always pounding on every each other's clients, but signage is architectural, it's branding, it's wayfinding, it's everything that you're trying to sell within the interior or the exterior of your store. And if you don't have good signage that's dependable, that's installed correctly, etc., you're missing the boat, because as far as I'm concerned, signage is everything. So we were talking, and I was like, Benny, look, you could have your dad on there, or we could just have, or you both. So this is great that we've got the fa father and son team. They're gonna do the tag team on me on here. So, but anyway,
The WWE tag team.
yeah, there you go. Uh,
That's how we crush our projects.
yeah,
I do
yeah,
a
yeah.
little
Hey,
body
listen.
slam and it's done.
Yeah. Hey, look, listen. I tried to get my son to come into my business, and he's an FAA mechanic. He got his A&P license, and he's working on $20 million Challenger jets. But he's like, "Hey, Dad, when are you going to hire me to take your business?" I said, "Dude, you got to go get fired a couple times before I would even think about coming into working for me." And you know what I am? I coached you all through when you were growing up. I'm a drill sergeant, so you're going to have to go get a job and whatever. And if you want to come back or whatever, but he's doing the jet thing, the aviation thing. But I don't know, Jose, were you hard on Benny when he was, coming in?
Yeah, I have a old school mentality. I'm not a trainer. I'm more of push them in the deep end, and it's sink or swim. And you're gonna learn life. The best teacher is life. The best teacher is having to face issues. I try to let people face their issues and make their own decisions and live with those decisions, because in the long run, that's what they're going to have to do. So, best to start learning while there's a little bit of a net. My daughter also works in the business, and she's a project manager for Indie Signs. And she called and we had a conversation today, and she wanted to know how we should handle the situation. She's been doing it long enough. I told her, listen, here are the facts. It's your call. Make the decision how you want to handle it, and I'll back you up.
Hmm.
Give them some opportunity to fail is the only way they're going to succeed.
And Benny, is your dad telling us the truth that he's old school, or or is he just a pushover? You tell me.
No, he's super old school, and I'm more. He doesn't want to believe it. I've had doctors tell me I've got a bit of the old Asperger's. So he's so old school that yeah, it's fun, swimming in the deep end. But on the my little hobby right now is taking everything I've learned so that we have to put someone else in project management or someone on sales, someone now I kind of know what the deep end is entailing because I think even more individuals could be, shaped into what he needs them to be. And so I do like that method, but my brain is just so it's like a Ford factory in my head. And I just want that order. I want to be able to bring a salesman and tell him these are your key things. But I can't learn that without, people like my dad and everyone else running the institution. So I'm a good student. I'm good at soaking it in, learning it, and all that outline is that's how I learned it. And if someone else can use that as a training manual, that's just how things happen to turn out. So yeah, he's completely true, but everything must skip a generation and perhaps I will make a deep end thinker out of my daughter. I don't know how it works.
Hey, I had my son on my podcast last year, and I thought he would tell me, 20 years from, when he was gotten in aviation and so forth, and he said to me, Dad, the only reason I got first he got hired by Boeing. He was there for 3 years and was working on the 787s, and they're $350 million airplanes. Anyway, he goes, Dad, I would have never gotten hired if you weren't as hard as me. And my wife was like, we were like the good cop, bad cop. I was very tough on him. I was like Sergeant Carter. There was a show called Gomer Pyle way back when. I'm sure Jose knows it, but in any event, it was a Marine thing, and Gomer Pyle was this goofy dude in the Marines coming in, and they would just. But I was tough on my kid. But he goes, Dad, the only reason I got hired was because you were very and I thought I was going to hear that 20 years, but he said it, maybe a year or two after he was in there, and I was like, wow, it was like the greatest thing that I think it was ever told to me. So having the tag team here, you got the old, the new, and you both. It's really, really cool that you got your kid, you both actually your daughter there too. So that's awesome.
Yes, and well, two sons, my daughter and my wife are in the business. So it's a family business. And I like to say that the way that I look at things is that my job is to give the vision, give the idea, throw it out there and let everybody kind of take it at their pace and how they take it. Like Benjamin is different. He's different than Gilbert. He's different than Alejandra on how he handles things. Everybody handles their things differently. And usually the situation, and this goes with family members, non-family members, employees, people that I work with on a daily basis, they walk away with the idea that what they've gathered their knowledge by obtaining it themselves, by being, disciplined, by learning as they go. And I usually get zero credit for helping anybody, but I see a lot of people progress and grow in their lives, and that makes me happy, whether they give me the credit or not. But they don't realize that my teaching methodology is all about you learning about things at your pace and how you learn and in the world that you learn it in. You don't realize that what I'm giving you is the knowledge, but how you receive it is different than everybody else. So it may look different when you see someone else getting it from me. You don't see that coming to you because I don't come to you the same way because you're different. And so I give people space to learn. I give them space to fail because you and I know that success is a succession of failures. You don't succeed, like you said, my son. You sent your son out saying, "Come back after you got a real job and you learn, some life lessons." Same thing I told my kids, go and learn. Go out there, see what the world can teach you, and then we come back and we can do something. And I think that's how most people they don't realize that their successes is all built on failure after failure after failure. And I think was it Michael Jordan who said he fails up. You got to
Yeah.
fail up.
Oh yeah. Listen, if you're not making mistakes every day, you're not pushing yourself. I mean, I make mistakes every day, but yet, I don't call it lose. I call it you either win or you learn. Losing's not
Right.
my verbiage. That was one of the things when I took my digital classes, mindset's everything. Can't got to get rid of that, but you're gonna make mistakes, but you got to learn from them. And just like Jordan, he practiced, but he didn't hit all the shots, and but greatest basketball player ever. But he never got down on it. Tiger Woods, one of the greatest golfers ever, but after, you might have a lousy round, he goes out and hits another 1,000 balls. So but if you're not making mistakes, you're not learning, you're not pushing yourself, in my opinion. And you live, you learn, and then and what the best thing is when you learn, you might not you stick a bit back in your mind, in your knowledge vault, and then down the road, history always repeats itself. And now, when that obstacle or hindrance comes upon you, you know how to deal with it. And So just like we were talking about cars before we got on, now
Right.
you know how to deal with these guys. Whichever types of salesman you got in there, you know what the game is, and
Right.
be prepared. So
Well, in the construction industry, you know that the failures you're going to have are going to be uh, it's going to be comparable to the size of your project. So the bigger the project, the larger the project, the more revenue in that project, the more cost in that project, the higher your failures are going to be. And that's one thing that people got to learn is, what I learned, when I started out in 2018, I started Indie Signs. And so my failures might have cost me a couple of $100. I make a mistake, costs me a couple of $100. I learn, I move on. Today, my failures can cost me thousands, because I'm dealing in millions of dollars in revenue. So my failures are going to be larger. So I think what you got to understand is when you are failing, don't get afraid of the size of the failure. The bigger the failures that you have is actually showing that you're growing and you're kind of you've grown in your path of whatever you're walking in. Because if your failures are big, that means that your successes are big too. They're bigger, So you don't, a lot of people want to focus on that failure. They want to focus on the $6,000 loss, and I focus on the $250,000 gain.
yeah,
It's like I always tell people, I can't wait for the day when I write the US government $1 million for my taxes, because that means I made a ton of money. So I don't have a problem with paying taxes. I don't have a problem paying for mistakes, because the more that I make mistakes, the more I have to pay in taxes, means the more success I have in my life. And that's the only thing we have to measure, in business. You measure by, how much business you're doing, but then you also measure by how many people's lives are being changed because of what you're doing.
so Benny, what did you ever think that you were going to go into the signage business with your dad, or were you
I never had never thought of it, but I'd always every year at Christmas we watch It's a Wonderful Life, and I'd always as a kid been like, where's our Villanueva savings and loan? Like this guy's complaining, oh, I have to take over my dad's business and have a spot set in society for me. So when he saw the signs, I saw the signs, and we like to quote one of my favorite movies, Ocean's 11,
Oh
where
yeah, awesome.
yeah, where the money financier, he's like, you didn't see the signs. I saw the signs, and he's talking about the stocks.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a beautiful industry, and it's something that it's fun to be a part of construction, even just on the facade. But it's one of the most important aspects, because look at the successful cold beer and cheeseburgers out here in Arizona, and it's really that sign that says cold beer and cheeseburgers. I mean, genius to think of the name, but no one knows your name without the signage. So yeah, it's fun. Never thought we would have something this large and successful. I just didn't even know that's where life was bringing us. So
Yeah. So
caught me by
Jose,
surprise.
what's your history? You went to school, and then just give us a little short little recap of, moving it, to 18. Because I remember when you were getting your first facility. That I mean, I look back and I'm thinking of the conversations we probably had at Centerville or whatever, and you were getting your facility and so forth. But give us a little background on yourself, on how you ended up where you were today.
Well, I was born and raised in Chicago, and I came from my dad was not a businessman at all. He worked in the factory. He was happy with, his lot in life. And so I didn't really see, from him, what I got from him was I saw him take his lunch pail every day, go to work. And every day after day, it was a religion to him to go to work, And so I got my work ethic from him. The fact that for me to go to work every day is just a natural form of my life. It's not a question of whether or not I have to get up at 5 in the morning and get to the shop. It's just that's my life. That's what I need to do. So he gave me my work ethic, My mom died when I was young. So it was basically my dad. And then I left the house early on. I did not go to college. I graduated high school and I went straight into, business and industry. Started off in retail, became a retail manager right out of high school, running a, $3 million store. And, I just gravitated towards uh, you know, for some reason being in charge. I don't know if it was just that nobody else can do it or, I
Yeah.
was good, but I ended up being the manager. Everywhere I went, I was like, okay, we're going to promote you, So I went into retail for a while, but it wasn't my cup of tea. And so I saw all these vendors coming in, these sales guys, and that seemed a lot more exciting to me is to be able to, you know, step up the scale. So instead of selling to a consumer, I would be selling to businesses. And so I got into selling copiers to business and industry in Chicago. And I did that for a while, and it was very successful. It really was the hardest job I ever had was selling copiers door to door.
I'm sure it
And
was competitive too.
oh man, brutal. And I'm downtown Chicago schlepping a copy machine to an office to do a demo. And again, I became the manager, and I'm doing that. And my best friend is the one that got me into that business. But then he got me into a different business. So he took me into staffing industry, which was one of my first entrepreneurial adventures. So I'm kind of a serial entrepreneur. I keep wanting to open a business. So I did staffing for a while, and it's very successful. Helped me buy two houses. So I was a happy man. But then when we kind of hit the wall after right before the boom, there was that little bust after 2000. So I just started looking around. I got into facility maintenance and stumbled into signage. In 2014, I got into working for a company as a national salesperson. And that's where I didn't know anything about signs. And my first year, I blew the doors open, over $2 million in sales and signs, which is pretty decent for a guy who doesn't know what he's doing. And so I went out there and kind of blew the doors open. I did that for a couple of years and then thought about, again, I could do this. I said, I don't have to kill myself working for somebody. I can probably make a decent living as a broker. So in the sign industry, you have two types of companies. You have guys out there that are brokers, and that's what I did to start. We use wholesale manufacturers and you use contractors to do your installs. And so I did that and actually became a preferred sign vendor for Domino's. And so I did that for a couple of years. In 2018, I opened Indie Signs and I did brokering for a couple of years, and it was very successful. And then had an opportunity in 2022 to purchase a sign shop here in Phoenix, Arizona. One of the challenges I ran into by outsourcing is you're on someone else's schedule. So there were things that I wanted to, expedite. I couldn't really expedite it the way I wanted to. So I thought getting a sign. So I started looking for a sign shop, something that would fit my budget, something that would give me something to start into having a facility. And I found one, and it was the right place, the right time, the right money in 2022. So I purchased a company called Craftmaster Sign Corporation in 2022, and so we run it as a separate company, but basically Craftmaster Sign Corporation makes all of Indie Signs signage as well as for other clients. Um, and so we have grown from 2018 to 2024. We have grown year over year over year. The last 2 years, we went from 1.5 to almost $3 million in sales in revenue. So we're a small company. We're not a big company. There's a lot of large competitors out there. Um, But we went from my first year doing $350,000 to, eclipsing 3 million, in I don't know how many, 8 years, or not even 8 years, from 2018 to 2024, 6 years.
6 years. Mm-hmm.
And so we're looking at growing again this year. So we're on pace to continue that growth. Um, and the exciting thing is in 2024, what helped us get to that point is we became a preferred vendor for Jack in the Box Del Taco. So we're also we're rebranding 30 stores here in the Phoenix, California market, and for Del Taco's new branding, and which is pretty cool. And we're also so the other clients I work with besides retailers are commercial developers, and that's kind of how you and I met in the commercial developing world. And so there's Simon CRE is doing a lot of large projects here in Arizona, and he's done a very large project called the Village of Prasada out in the Surprise area. And so we did multiple uh, monument signs for him, ranging in size from 17-foot tall to 28-foot tall to an 80-foot pylon sign that American Furniture Warehouse is going to have a 10-foot by 17 electronic board on. So that's all been built in the Prasada market. So those were I went from, doing a small sign for Domino's to building out a lot of monument signs for a large shopping center here in Arizona. And so, we work with, like I said, Domino's, Del Taco, Public Storage. I'm working with a developer that's developing public storages in the Arizona and California market. So we're continually looking for those brands. We're working with an emerging brand called Pepper Lunch. That's emerging franchise that's growing in the United States. Benjamin, I'll let him tell his stories and what he's brought in recently. But we have continued to try to just grow year over year in the signage business. And it's been there's a lot of good things that are happening in the industry. There is a lot of competition, but there is a lot of need. The one thing is that everybody's busy.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
the rising tide is pulling up all boats right now.
I think they say roll tide. Just kidding.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what the amazing thing about Phoenix is? My parents have they have a house out in Cave Creek, and 10 years ago from the 101, you take the mountain road all the way out to Cave Creek, it was just brush, and now it's all built up, and it is
Yeah,
absolutely amazing what has been done. I actually remember when the 101 was still getting finished. Uh, that was going around, and I think it was either I think Scottsdale Boulevard where it stopped, but now it's but that between the 101 and the Cave Creek, it's probably a good 15-20 minute ride, but
right,
it was just desert. Now it's
right.
completely built up and all
Well, you
new.
have the Taiwan semiconductor plant that's so just west of your parents, half an hour west, you've got this massive semiconductor plant that's being built. So the construction that's going to happen in that corridor right now for all of the supporting contractors. So you have the semiconductor plant requires all of these subcontractors to build all of the components that they're going to need. So that the outlook right now for that area is massive in terms of growth. I'm actually my shop is located just 15, not even 15 minutes, 10 minutes from that plant. So I'm actually sitting in primo real estate, which can be a good and a bad thing because my rent's expensive. So it's a nice area, but this whole area up here where you're talking about, and the 303 now goes from the 17 all the way down through
Mhm.
the 10, that spurs around Phoenix.
Mhm.
So the growth in this market, and that's what's happening all over the country. There's a lot of growth going on. And then the rebranding. You talked about branding earlier. Companies always have to refresh, so that's the one thing about the signage industry is that you've got a refresh going on every 7 years or so for every brand. Benjamin's involved with one right now. I'm involved with one with Del Taco, and he's involved with another. And that's what's going on. Domino's actually is still in their rebrand because they got so many stores to do. But they allow their franchisees so many years to make that happen. So that's why the signage industry, and then we're also transitioning from, there is still some old neon lighted signs out there that still have to be transitioned into LEDs. And then you've got old LEDs, the first generations are all burning out. So the new LEDs have to come in. And usually you have to rebrand at that time. So it's right now in the sign business, it's really going very well for just about everybody.
Um, let's talk about since I remember your our conversation, Jose, back in 18. We were sitting at I don't know what where we had our restaurant, and you were just going through, the facility.
Yeah,
And
we were here in Scottsdale for that ICSC center
yeah,
building.
yeah. So I remember that
And
conversation, and
yeah, we were at a restaurant and I just started, and that was back before COVID. And but COVID didn't slow us down. I know a lot of people out there kind of got slowed down by COVID, but I think that what happened after that, after I met you, one of the things that COVID kind of illuminated was the virtual, using using virtual opportunities to meet with people, and then also to concentrate your opportunities. So for big conference events where you're going to go and meet a bunch of people all at one time, instead of, when I first got into the business, I was a diamond member in about a year
yeah,
for American Airlines. That's how
yeah,
much flying I was doing. I was getting upgraded to first class. So it was like I was putting in a lot of miles, going all over the country, meeting with people. You don't have to do that anymore. I mean, now you do it when you really, really have to, but through virtual meetings and through the conferences like where we met, that's how basically I think is the best way to grow your business is through people, right? Getting to know you and getting to know a lot of people that I've met that I'm still friends with till today. I've met at conferences and we've helped each other out, and that's what I do a lot of too. It's not, I don't do like this door knocking sales. I'm going to go try to sell you. It's more of a relationship that I have with people that get introduced to people, and opportunities show up, at the right place at the right time. Because there is a lot of competition. And if I'm just going to be, another pea in the pot, if I'm just going to be one of a number to go throw a bid at you, or, fill out an RFP to try to, I'm not going to, we're a small company. I'm not going to beat, the big signage companies out there. If I were going to go head to head with them, that's just not going to happen. I got to kind of, work my relationships and try to get things before they even see it. I got to
yeah,
try to find my customers before these guys even know they're on the radar. And that's the best. I've had other people say, "Oh, wow, I was trying to get that customer." I don't say anything on how I got it, but
yeah.
it's the relationships really is how it works, and that's why I've always enjoyed our relationship. We would get together every year, every time you came out to Scottsdale to do your events, and that's how I got to advertise with you. And you've been relentless in that regard, and that's been great in terms of, I've advertised in your magazine. So there's opportunities there that I've really enjoyed this relationship, and that's how our business has really been built is all on relationships.
Oh yeah. The I always tell people that uh with the technology, you can't be afraid of it. You have to take it. I mean, I was using Zoom before the shutdown in 2020, but now you can pick and choose where you want to fly. I tell people, look, if you've got a punch list and you've got to go look at a roof curb on top of a roof, go you do it FaceTime. Instead of driving 2.5 hours for a 5 minute meeting, and you can pick and choose where you want to do it. This is not going away. It's not,
Right.
that pendulum might swing back and forth, but you can't replace face to face. But instead of going, and doing all the events or whatever, hey, you can do a lot of stuff, but you can pick and choose where you want to fly, and maybe go on the site versus going and meeting someone at a show or whatever. I mean, it's insane. Just like myself, I was a print face-to-face guy. When
Right.
2020 came, I had just had my 10th anniversary of my summit. Most people I'd ever attended in Jacksonville, and boom, everything got, shut down. And then I had to make some decisions. I was lucky I had a digital magazine forever, but I kind of just ignored it, but it was there. It had a ton of content on it. And we just kind of made the natural progression, but you had to be nimble, you had to be flexible, and you had to have confidence in yourself that, believe me, it was scary. I mean, I had talked to a couple of advertisers. Hey, do you mind if I get rid of the magazine? And, I'll still send you a copy, but now I have these conversations. How many people at your office? 75. How many of those people even know that you even advertise in there? Guess what? If I go digital, I can give you the link and you can put it on your newsletter for your whole company and you can tell them what page it is so they can see what's going on and maybe see what other stuff is going. I mean,
Right.
it really is amazing what's happened. And I had just bought my mic and for my podcast, and I was going to go out and do interviews on the construction site. That's what I was going to do. And then everything was
Hmm.
shut down. And I had never done a podcast, so I kind of winged it. And man, I was awful. Listen, I learn, I just laugh at myself. All right. But when I look at some of the, episodes in my early days, oh, they were just, but now I look back, I'm like, hey, if I didn't, basically make all of those, learning i-
Mistakes,
mistakes.
like we spoke of earlier, you
Exactly.
know.
Thank you. I was having a brain fart there. Making, it's all a learning experience, man. You got to take one day at a time, and you just got to, go roll with the flow. So the most amazing thing is, as I look back, uh, is that some of the people that I've talked to over the last 3 or 4 years, they had the best years of their life because in business, because A, they found out more about their business. They found out that there was more to, more than life than just work. You got to have a little, have other things to do, as well as if they had more project managers or superintendents, they probably could have done more projects. But with the labor shortage and everything else, that was an obstacle that that had to go through. But pretty much a lot of people everybody used Pivot back, over the day. But a lot of companies, architects, engineers, signage, fixtures, they've all made that transition. And now it's kind of like a balance of how you want to run things. And you being younger, the new blood in there, what's your favorite thing that you think you learned over the last 3 or 4 years?
I mean, specific to science, or because I come from the marketing world and that's where
Just
everything.
just in general, as you went to the science visit, what do you think our
Well, it's just
listeners would?
amazing that because I started podcasting as a hobby, following people like Joe Rogan, etc. And of course, as Dad was setting up the company, and I was helping him with the website in the early days, and that's kind of the time frame you're even talking about. I was starting to get the hint, and it's come to fruition the fact that the podcasts are the new commercials. Like, stop spending on ad spend, like Google AdWords, stop. I mean, develop SEO, develop good SEO, but stop throwing hundreds and thousands. I mean, still pick your strategic magazines to put and websites to put your marketing on, but people are tired of, they don't want to hear, hey, buy one, get two, yada, yada, yada. They want what's going on right now. Like, three of us, I'm obviously the young, making lots of mistakes, but learning from the totem pole, of wisdom, like before. So that's the biggest thing that I've learned, is that obviously combining the internet, social media, but this massive podcasting role, you have to figure out, because even I'm looking over at Dad's and I'm comparing it to your setup, and I'm like, you know what we should do? Dad should set himself up a whole bunch of branding, illuminated and back cut letters on that wall behind him every time we podcast, and we should make it in the shop. And like, maybe even as a gimmick, I'm just spitballing here because I'm in the marketing, I'll run it
Mhm.
up the flagpole. If anyone salutes, then maybe we've got, a national anthem. But perhaps we could even, as more of a lead sale or a gimmick, help people develop because everyone needs a great space like David over there. You've got an amazing setup with
Well, you know what happened
I
on the neon signs? I reached out to one of my neon guys, and I said, "Hey Jimmy, man, I want to get a couple of signs made for my background. I've changed my background every year. You got to do it. You got to keep yourself. You got to refresh."
Oh, yeah, but even that cutout of the United States and um, well, actually, some of that might be the 3D, the digital that you have there.
But here's the
And
thing
yeah,
about
people don't want to spend because wow, that's a lot of money. If they don't want to put it on the neon, we have what's the alternative, Dad?
Well, here was the
Uh,
thing. The neon was so expensive, and he said, "Listen, I would like to help you, but I have a guy that does the tubes and all that." And he was just a small guy. He was out of Philly, and I sent him my logo, and he goes, "Oh yeah, I can get these done for you and whatever." And they were very affordable. And I had a Chinese guy that had sent me an email, but he was affordable, but it was going to take months because after he shipped it, then he had to ship it. He goes, "Oh no, I'll get them done for you." And I've had multiple people over the last couple of years that have seen the signs. Where did you get those? So I've sent them some more business, and but the neon is an amazing thing. There's a museum in Las Vegas where they have all the old signs, from
Right.
all the hotels that they got rid of. And we did an event down there and we took the tour and neon was such an artwork, but it's kind of like an old mechanic that, you know, doesn't, it's amazing where signage is going when you look at some of that stuff and what it is today. And, having fresh blood like yourself coming in here that's got the new technology and all the wow, the SEO and all that stuff that you can apply it and uh, it it's just exciting to hear all that stuff because we're a generation gap. I mean, I'm just below your dad there, even though we're both only 26. I'm just a couple years younger than him, and but
Exactly.
listen, if you're out there and you're thinking about signage, and if someone wanted to reach out to Indie Signs and bounce some questions on you, or maybe they were thinking about someone and everything is chemistry with anything that you're doing out there. How would someone reach out to you guys?
Well, the easiest thing to do, you can shoot me an email, Jose at indie-signs.com or Benjamin at indie-signs.com. Either one of us. You can also reach me direct. I pick up my cell phone. I talk to my customers. They call me at 8 o'clock at night about with their issues. My customers are, what you talked about the size of projects, and even though people spend millions of dollars to build these projects, I figured out it's between 2 and 3% of that number is signage, but it counts, like Benjamin said, for 99% of your branding is your signage. So people really pay close attention to that 2 or 3% how they're spending it. So I answer my phone or my text. You can text me 623-302-4545, or call me. And
And you're on
what
LinkedIn too, I'm sure, right?
I'm on LinkedIn. Yeah, Jose
oh yeah.
Villanueva. We're on LinkedIn. Indie Signs has a LinkedIn page as well. So yes, on LinkedIn. I don't do much in the other social medias. Right now, I'm focusing most on LinkedIn right now for myself. Benjamin's in charge of trying to grow some of the other social media outlets.
In my opinion, listen, if you're in business, you got to be on LinkedIn, and that's the mother lode, and all the other platforms are great to be on, but you got to be on LinkedIn, and you got to have your cell phone and pick it up whenever it rings. And I had a guy call me at like, I think he was over in Singapore this morning. Called me, I don't know, 4:30 or 5. I forget it. I was getting up. We have dogs. I was getting up anyway, but. Uh, my wife was like, "Who's calling?" I'm like, "So and so." And I'm like, "I gotta take this call." She's like, "Oh my God, yeah, he's over on the other side of the world, you know." And
Right.
listen, when you're an entrepreneur, man, it never stops. You got to go do that stuff. So,
Yeah, I told you about Pepper Lunch. He calls me, I called him Saturday late to get an answer, or Friday was last Friday to get an answer before the weekend, but he picked it up too because he knows I'll pick up his call, so he picks up my calls.
yeah. So if you're out there in commercial construction coffee talk land and you're thinking about signage, branding, etc., and maybe you're looking for, maybe that little smaller touch of a feel of a shop, give these gentlemen a call. and or shoot them a message on LinkedIn and see what the where the conversation goes. If anyone wants to reach me, I'm at David C at ccr-mag.com. And listen, don't judge. It's like playing the lottery. If you don't buy a ticket, you can't win. If you don't send me something to look at, I can't post it. Very tough to get in the magazine. But I mean, even today, I sent out an e-blast about the podcast, and a bunch of people came back. They're like, "Oh yeah," and I said, "Well, here's how it goes." And listen, you, everything is about communicating. Email, sell, whatever. But the bottom line is, if you're thinking about signage, give these guys a call. It's a great story. It's a family business, and they've got the entrepreneurial spirit. And I don't think you guys would go wrong. And I'm very selective on who I have on here. So, like I said, Jose and I go back, a while. But uh, send us stuff. Listen, I got two ladies who post stuff all day long. We make sure everything is meta tagged, SEO, indexed. We say in the URL, you can share it. It's good for your SEO, which is search engine optimization. If you don't know what that means, that's how Google finds you, and it's a great thing. So uh, as we finish up, I want each of you to leave me one positive thought or phrase as we close out this episode. Ben, you're the youngster, so I'm going to let you go first.
And I'll lead with humor, but I think it's true for 2025, especially coming out of just whether there's a lot of hardships, even if you were successful the past 3 or 4 years. So I like to think of the Bee Gees and their title track, one of their title tracks, "Staying Alive."
Oh
I mean, it's
yeah.
staying alive 2025. Staying alive. I wish I could
Yeah.
hit those soprano notes that they hit, but I'm like a baritone alto. I don't. I'll stay in my zone.
Hey, listen, believe it or not, I was listening to Soul the other day, and I was listening to Jive Talking. Yeah, no, believe me, I got you, man. All right, Jose, what's your positive thought or phrase?
Well, mine is it's funny that Benjamin gave his because mine is very similar, right in the same line of thinking. And I was thinking earlier, you were giving out some positive words at the beginning of the podcast, and the one word that kind of resonates with me right now is the word resilient. And I think that you really just have to be resilient. You just have to, no matter what's happening, no matter what's going on, you take care of today's problems today, and you let tomorrow's problems be tomorrow, and you just be resilient. And this too shall pass. If you're having a tough time, and just continue doing what you're doing. Don't lose faith in yourself and your dreams. Realize that all those hard times that you go through is only going to look much sweeter when you get out on the other end. So just be resilient, power through it. Have a great 2025.
Awesome.
Yeah,
So we got. Go ahead.
piggybacking on that really quick, because my sister got me this for Christmas, The Psychology of Money. And it's true. I just read a part in here. Warren Buffett, I mean, more than 90% of his wealth was made after he was 81. So think of the resilience of starting at 10 years old. So what most people don't factor, besides luck, good fortune, good timing, is resilience. I mean, he's made some good calls, but he's made them consistently since he was 10 years old. So with the way the stock market works, the more time it has worked out obviously in his favor and compounded, and he's been able to build on good moves with better moves. But if he's stopped at any point, like a lot of us might want to, someone who didn't do so well in the crypto world might want to stop, or but maybe they just need to reevaluate. Maybe gold was the answer all along. Maybe it still is crypto. I don't know anything. I'm a youngin, but I just had to piggyback on that because I've been reading this.
Hey, well, we got staying alive and being resilient, man. Mine is just do it. Okay? Just do it, and you'll be okay. And but a couple things that I want to finish out on. Number one, if you're on the construction site, we want you to be safe. We want you to be able to get home, have dinner with your spouse, your pets, your kids, whatever, and be able to go do it the next day. Number two, you got to stay liquefied. All right. I know it's winter, But if you don't stay hydrated or put some electrolytes in your water bottle, you get headaches. That's when accidents happen. That's the athlete in me. And you'll sleep better as well. And last but not least, hit the like button. All right. We want these, people to find the algorithms out there so they can find this episode. And last but not least, and I'll put the discount code and I'll put Benny's in there for the watch and stuff. Magic Mind. You got the elixir in the morning, the shot makes clear thinking, not jittery, calm, collective. And if you want a good sleep, do the shot 30 minutes before you go to bed and you'll get a nice sleep. Most important thing when you go to bed, you got to deplug. Put your phone down, turn the TV off, get some good rest. And listen, good sleep, you wake up the next day and rock and roll. So,
I'm gonna try some of that stuff out, David. I know you're talking to the audience, but I'm sold. You got me.
all right. Well, I'm going to put the discount code. I'm going to put the discount for Benji watching there along with their other company info. So, any last words before we sign off, gentlemen?
Thank you very much, David. I really appreciate this. You've been a great host, and whatever I can do for you, you let me know.
Okay.
If you need anything in signage, there are some new neon, faux neon, which is what Benjamin was alluding to earlier.
Yeah.
GE's got some new products out that I'm working on to develop some faux neon for customers for some interior signage. So we do interior signage as well as exterior. Is one of the channels that we're growing in. So anything I can help you with, you let me know.
All right. Sounds good,
The
man.
only thing I would add is I need more sales because Dad's a workhorse. He's been in sales for so long. So if you guys are going to hit us up for your national branding, we can help you coast to coast, hopefully in Canada and Mexico soon. Hit up Benny first because I need the help with the sales, and I'm a young guy. You might as well boost up the youth while you had it. Don't let the youth be wasted on the young.
Yeah. Well, listen, it's a family gig here. So, like I said,
We're very competitive. You should see Monopoly.
yeah, there you go. Paper money. I like it. All
There
right,
you go.
gentlemen. So I'm going to sign off here from Sugar Hill, which is just below the Buford Dam in Lake Lanier, about 25 miles north of downtown Atlanta. And everybody, listen, have a great TGIF tomorrow, the weekend. You got 1 week left of January, and then we're going to the second month of Q2. And have a great rest of the year. Take one day at a time, and like I said, be safe out there and stay hydrated. So. Jose, Benny, pleasure having you on there. And
My
to all you out there,
pleasure.
Commercial Construction Coffee Talk, we will see you next time. Gentlemen, thoroughly enjoyed the conversation. I'll see you later, okay?
All right. Have a good one,
Good
David.
one, David.
All right, everybody. We'll see you.